Okay, so I'm going to graph one with you. So, what's the first step I do when I'm graphing? So the x-intercepts. So the first x-intercept is a positive 2. The second x-intercept is negative 4. And the other x-intercept is negative 3. So the next thing that I need to do is, what's the exponent? What's the highest exponent? 4. So 2, 1, and 1. So I get, it's 4, which makes it even, and the leading coefficient is negative, so the end behavior goes, they both go down. And what has to happen at 2? So right here has to be a touch, right? And I think some of you, maybe number 10, there might have been a problem on the homework from what some of you are saying. I'll double check that one. But just so we're not confused. So at 2, the end behavior is down, but this is the bump. So what other information do I have to have before I start this? The y-intercept. So I get y equals negative 2 squared times 4 times 3. Which makes my y-intercept negative what? 12 times 4, 48. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 48, which means it's down here. So this is a bump at 2, and the end behavior goes this way, so that means it has to come back down this way. And then I know this has to go down this way, but at negative 4 and negative 3, what has to happen? I have to go through, which means I'm up and down. So this is going to end up looking like this. No, it touches. Sorry, okay? Okay, clear off your desks. Clear off your desks. Yeah. Okay, so just for the record, you need your tablets on Friday. It's on the board, so nobody's going to be able to tell me I didn't tell you. So bring your tablets on Friday. Today is Wednesday, so then skip a day to Friday. Okay, so it's the day you don't go to dual credit. Bring your tablet. Oh my God. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. We're doing division. So in Algebra 2, we did this division. And so you already know how to do it. So I'm just going to remind you how to do it. But the reason we learn how to do this is because we actually use it in pre-cal. And the way you use division is it's going to give you your roots. Okay? So just to back up a little bit. So first of all, the dividend goes on top and the divisor goes on bottom. And so when it's written like this is what goes under the division sign, and the divisor goes on the outside. And this is how we write the answer, the actual answer. So before I even start, let's do this. I hope so. So if I take 1,204 and I divide it by 7. So first of all, there's no number in the 10 spot, right? So we have to put a 0. So we have to do that when we long divide as well. If I don't have an x squared, I have to fill in a 0. Like you have to fill in your spots, okay? So we start this, 7 goes into 12, how many times? Once. And then what do I do from there? Because I take 1 times 7, right? And that gives me 7, and I change the sign and subtract. So that becomes 5, and I bring down the 0. 7 goes into 50, 7 times, which gives me 49, and then I change the sign. I bring down the 1, 7 goes into 14 twice, okay? So we're going to do the exact same process with variables. Okay, this is long division, and so I already know your questions, because from last year, you know what comes tomorrow, which is synthetic division. Well, a quiz is coming tomorrow. Every day till you've all factored, so figure out how to do it. So tomorrow is synthetic division, and it's easier, right? And we like it better because it's easier. But the problem is you can't use it every time. Long division, you can use every single time. So this is why we're going to start with this one. So we're not factoring anything. Let's divide. So I'm going to start the same way every single time. I'm going to take x third. I'm going to take the first term right here and divide it by the first term here, which gives me x squared, which means I'm putting the x squared right here. First term divided by this first term. There's nothing to not get. I'm taking this divided by this. We get it. Divide it. It's x squared. Put it over the x squared. Now, what we did when we were multiplying is we took this number times this number and put it down here, and then we changed the sign. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take x squared times x, which is x to the third. But I have to change the sign because I'm going to subtract. So it's minus x to the third. X squared times a minus 2 is a negative 2x squared, but I'm going to change the sign. So my x3's, my x to the third, cancel out, and I'm going to bring this down, which is minus 3x to the second, and I have to bring down the 4x now. Same step as before now. Take this number, which is the first number, minus 3x squared, and divide it by the first number here. Gives you minus 3x, and that goes right here. And now I'm going to multiply. Negative 3x times x gives me a negative 3x squared, but I'm going to change the sign because I'm subtracting. Negative 3x times a negative 2 is a positive 6x, but I have to change the sign. So when you're dividing, what do? You subtract. Even if it's a positive. So this cancels. So you take this right here, the minus 2x, and you divide it by the first term. So minus 2x divided by x gives me negative 2. That goes up here. So watch. Somebody was saying I don't understand about changing the signs. So we have to subtract at this line, correct? So I'm going to take minus 2 times the x. What do you get? But if I'm subtracting it, what happens to the negative? So So it's plus 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, but I'm subtracting it, so negative 4. So here, I get negative 6. Negative times a negative is a positive, so when I subtract, so watch how so this is what? This is my remainder. So let me show you how you're going to write it. This is your answer. And then you always put a plus. Always put a plus. No matter what. Every single time the remainder, Cardarius, is always a plus. And then I'm going to put the minus 6 over x minus 2. And I'm going to show you why on the next step that's always a plus. Okay, that's the answer. All right, now, so if the subtraction is bothering you, if it's bothering you, on this step, you could write out so these are the original ones, and then you can go through and change your signs, right? You can go through and do that when you're done if you would rather. The reason I don't do it is if I have to change a positive sign to a negative sign, y'all don't like it. It doesn't look right when I'm done. And so I do it all in one step. But if it's easier for you to write it all out and then change your signs, go ahead and do that. But the reason I'm not is because it doesn't look right when I'm done and you don't like it. All right, so the next example. So, okay. So you start the same way every single time. The first term divided by the first term. So 3x to the fourth divided by x squared, 3x squared. And where do I put the 3x squared? Over the 5x squared. What are you skipping? I haven't skipped anything yet. So, now I'm going to multiply. And here's what happens. What's 3x to the second times x squared? 3x to the fourth, which goes right here. It's positive, and I change it to negative 3x to the fourth. 3x squared times 2x gives me 6x to the third. It's positive, but I'm going to make it negative. 3x squared times a minus 3 gives me a minus 9x squared, but I'm going to change it to positive. So I didn't skip anything. Nothing gets skipped. This cancels out. Minus 8x to the third plus 14x squared, and bring down the 2x. Yes. So, same step. First term divided by first term. So minus 8x third divided by x squared, and that equals a negative 8x. So I'm going to put that right here, and I'm going to multiply. Negative 8x times x squared gives me a negative 8x to the third, but I'm subtracting, so it's plus 8x to the third. Negative 8x times plus 2x gives me a negative 16x squared, but that becomes plus 16x squared. So negative 3 times negative 8x gives me a positive 24x, but that has to become negative. So this cancels out. I have 30x squared minus 26x, and I have to bring down to 15. First term divided by first term. So 30x squared divided by x squared is 30. What? So 30 times x squared gives me a positive 30x squared, but I'm going to make it negative. 30 times 2x gives me 60x, but I'm going to make it negative. And 30 times negative 3 gives me negative 90, but I'm going to make it plus 90. So my x squareds cancel. I'm left with minus 86x plus 75. And this is my remainder. So this is how I write my answer. So what is it? It's a lot of multiplying. It's like a lot of writing. And subtracting. Is it hard? Same step over and over. It is not hard. So that was the answer. Right there. What? What? Shh. Okay. What changed on number 3? You got to put the 0 in there. Okay. First step, same every single time. Write it down on your paper. What is it going to be, the first step? Perfect. We're going to homeroom today. Progress reports. Hey, y'all start multiplying this out. Are you done? So keep going. Bring things down. But we're not going to sit on our phone. All right. So we have the. So we have 2x to the third. That goes over here. So when I multiply, Okay, so how many of you just stopped right there? But why? So, okay, so this is 0, so now what am I going to do? All right, so I bring the 0 down. Can you do anything? Okay, well, make this a minus, right? So bring down the next thing where you can do something. So this is going to be all of this canceled out. So when you bring down the 30x, well, it doesn't matter because it's not really there, right? It's a 0. And put your plus or your minus, it doesn't matter. It's a placeholder. Yeah. So then, now what I'm going to do is if I divide this, because it's the first term, I'm going to bring these down. The first term, 30x divided by 5x is 6. So the 6 goes here. Now can I multiply? So if I take 6 times 5, it's negative 30x, and 6 times 6 is negative 36. So my remainder is 0. So all of you stopped on the easiest problem on the whole entire sheet that we did. Yes. So let me tell you what this means. We got a 0 remainder, correct? That means this is a root. And if we were drawing the polynomial, which eventually we will, this would be the x-intercept right here. Okay?